Good afternoon, everyone. Markets went crazy these last few days. Food embargoes across Europe and now wheat being withheld by the farmers from selling into the market in the UK. Salvador Dali-esque, bringing it into the market, melt down through the day. Red's a pretty color, but when you see it for 3 or 4 straight days, and a different way to look at it. More of a signal, really. Is this the beginning of the great taking and the reset so many have spoken about for so long? We were looking for a massive event, and including myself. And here it is, one of the most massive stock crashes across 3 days so far. And I'll bring you a few charts showing you the recovery after these crashes back to 1929. So is it the beginning of something else is the question. Because 2 of the major stories are about food, the reduction of food. And notice how with the embargoes and all these things, you can't import here, you can't export there. What's rediverted back into the country? Food. So food costs might come down even further. Other countries as well, the prices are going to go up because they can't get it, but everything's baked in the cake. So they couldn't let the entire planet equally show food distribution shortages and food shortages due to our magnetic field shifting and not as reliably growing crops, thereby global crop yields, grains specifically, down. And this year was going to be at least 4%, and rice was going to be 5 to 8%, and oats around 8% globally, and everything else was in the 4 to 5% range. That includes corn and wheat. Now suddenly the price is just going to run in unison, and what comes just in time to explain it away? This trade war / tariff embargo, oh, there's your excuse right there. Food's not available, food's more expensive. It wasn't the jet streams going on our cell on a known pattern. Wasn't the jet streams in dumping too moisture patterns had changed on a pattern, a known multi-century pattern. And here we are at these first years of incredible intensification to the point where everybody on the planet is seeing it now. And suddenly we have the perfect excuse why there's going to be food price increases, food unavailability. Think about back in 2019, they needed the perfect excuse to print double the amount of money the world has ever seen with nobody asking a question. What was that, do you think? The vid. Nobody asked a question. Nobody blinked an eye. They doubled the world's money supply. It was that time. We needed to. Perfect excuse at the perfect time. Now we're back at it. I'm saying this is perfect excuse, perfect time 2.0. That one was to cover the collapse of the economy, kick it down the road until they finally found out the intensification year that it can't be hidden anymore. The crop losses are going to be so widespread that they're not going to be able to mask the non-reasoning for why the crops would go up in price and why your food would get so much more expensive, although everything was supposed to have stabilized and leveled out, especially in the new era. Anybody going to believe it? Let's look at the red. All indices down. Asia smashed the hardest. China was down 10% at open. So many markets like Taiwan, Japan, they all limit down. They circuit breaker on to stop trading. Such devastating quick losses. Indices future, red, 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 purple, red. Looks like a weather map where the dangerous weather is. So the trade and tariff related data. So this is a 3-day, and I'm going to bring you to the 2-day in just a minute here. The 3-day percent changes in history. So we're starting at the top. As we age, our body's collagen production declines, leading to visible signs of aging like wrinkles, sagging skin, crow's feet, smile lines, and more. These effects start being most noticeable after 40 when our collagen levels are reaching their lowest, and each year they get lower by 1%. Research shows that collagen is responsible for 1/3 of our skin's protein, providing the ingredients skin needs for structure and strength. That's why I've been using Ageless Multi-Collagen for years. That features 5 key types of collagen designed to replenish your skin's collagen levels in combat the effects of aging. Its unique collagen blend is designed to reduce wrinkles, promote youthful glow, skin elasticity, and skin hydration. Help your skin look its best with Ageless Multi-Collagen while it's 51% off now by going to healthwithadapt2030.com. Plus order today and you receive free The 14 foods for amazing skin and a 60-day satisfaction guarantee and free shipping. Once again, this is only available at healthwithadapt2030.com. Click on that link in the description box below. 1998. Okay, well, the markets fell for 3 straight days, equaling 11.71%. Make your way down past 1940 World War II invasion, Trump tariffs, 13.56%. Now, that's if it's today and it stops. Now, it could go on a 4th day, 5th day, 6th day. Could. I'm not saying it will. Could. It's only half of Black Monday in 1987. But smack dab in the middle of the Depression era years. So it was 1932 Depression, 1932, 1932, 1929. It's lumped right in the center there. So where does that take us? So how long would it take to recover? This is the 2-day declines, and then they go a year after, 3 years after, and 5 years after as to how much recovery after this massive crash. Now, please remember today, this is nearly 100 years ago. So the safe stops, the international banking, the minutely wire transfers. Now we got a bunch of crypto running around. Finance and banking is shore up something else to stop a crash. Back then it was much more difficult. So in 1929, at 2 days, it dropped 21%. And after the first year, it did recover some. But then the third year, it really dropped out precipitously. And then by the 5th year, they were still down. And that's what right in the middle of the 30s. Wait, didn't gold confiscation happen during that? 1933, next one down. Yeah, gold got confiscated that year. And lo and behold, everything came up. So what is that telling us? When they confiscated the gold, the stock markets immediately bounced. So look at that, how long it took for anything from 1929 to come back up. On its regular, just like organic, people getting confident again, putting back into the market to buy something. Well, back then, everything was wiped out. Very, 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 very different than today. I'm sorry, very different. Like the international money can flow in a second. That's why, you talk about the modern minimum, people had to leave and migrate because they couldn't grow enough food in cooler climates. It might not be the same today because we have international shipping, but do we? See, we don't now. So what you grow is what you get. But I'm wondering if it'll be the same thing. Will there be a firewall off it? That's all the money you get. Because if this thing's played correctly, it can be used to explain away every single loss of every product in unison as things are going, oh, now there's not the farm machinery, so they couldn't plan. That's why the food's even less next year. The embargo from here, the metals there, the mining, the fuel stopped, the machine repair parts stopped because of an embargo. Oh, force majeure. You see how this could be used in unison to explain away every single crop loss. Walk it down. Oh, the fertilizer's not there. Oh, the fuels. Oh, the tires. And I'll bring you to the S&P 500, biggest 2-day declines and the total returns after those declines. So, we're ranked number 5, for example. Now, there were several days clumped together in 2008. Again, we're right in the middle. Remember, the previous slide showed you smash in the middle of the Great Depression era. This is smashed right in the middle of 2008 era. So we're sort of somewhere in that range. Then subsequently, after these crashes, if you look at 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, that's how much the market had totally returned since that 2-day loss. And after that talk, we need a moment of Zen. Oh, remember these days of just not having to worry about this insanity. But then again, a moment of Zen takes on different forms for different people. Eddie Cow contest in Hawaii. Because Warren Buffett says, be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. I think we are in the latter. Because I bought this book, The Great Taking, to learn about it. And I also got the one with the Great Reset with Mark Morano. Now this one's from Klaus Schwab, and this is Mark Morano, but still, it gives you an indication that there was already something planned that would involve the economy to spin it and create a new, shall we say, easier to control digital currency out of the aftermath of that. Which is why this is another one I'm just starting right now, Composting Masterclass from Tony O'Neill. Do you see how this goes together? Like, I want real books around me anyway. Real books. So I can come back to this as a reference. And again, I haven't started this yet. I bought it. I'm looking for it. And thank you so much for putting all the information away. But if I'm sitting here trying to read these books and get an indication of what's going on, is this part of that? That's more the question. Is this part of that? because there's definitely not going to continue the same way. Just out of, if you're looking at prior cycles, and these grand solar minimums that wiped out food production are greatly limited it to the point where it upset society that people had to leave. They couldn't grow the food. But again, we're in a different time. There was no global, supply chains as such at that time. Global finance now. But again, if we come into a digital system, stablecoin issuance, real-world asset-backed index funds, central bank digital currencies themselves, CBDCs, issued by a nation digitally for its citizens into a wallet. Ours is the FedNow wallet. Everybody's got one if you have a social security number. This is moving forward, and it's going to be the base of all transactions. I mean, if you look at RLUSD, which is Ripple Labs US dollar, like is a stable coin, but they also have Ripple Labs, which is on-demand liquidity, which gives all that extra money to all those things that failed before. Like this is it. This is the new thing to stop all those failures from happening, because there'll always be liquidity on demand, anywhere at any time, all running through Ripple. But then there's all these ISO 20022 tokens that are going to be the base rails also for payments. And if you look at it, the only people who are going to be allowed to get into those systems themselves, unless you just hold a token, are only corporations and governments and central banks. And if that is the plan, and it does come to fruition like that, and we do sort of gravitate there, how quickly would it be? There's a lot of people out there I've been listening to, and they say instant collapse, everybody be so panicked, they'll take anything to get life back itself. That could be one way. Or they could just say we're going to reset and everybody's got 3 months to turn your money in, like everybody's trying to move to Teams slowly through Skype, but they're going to wait till the last minute. It's some way or some form or somehow this money is changing to this digital system. I encourage you to look at what BlackRock's doing with tokenization of at least 10 trillion in assets. And then if you read about other protocols that are working with that and other corporations are already onto it, the total is somewhere around 32 trillion so far plugged in, and this system is going to utilize that as a base of something new. Because at least 32 trillions into the system or agreed to go into the system. That's a full reset. So where does the food growing come in? That's why I have this book. I'll show you to you again. Composting Masterclass. I ramble sometimes. I needed that book. What are you going to do for compost if you can't buy fertilizer? Because there's a tariff war going on. We couldn't get the basic. There's going to be a million excuses why things disappear. And I would also focus it on the food growing. Like, look for that. What are the excuses? There's no more tools. There's no more this. There's no more that. Well, again, the excuses there. It was economy, tariffs, embargoes, whatever you want to use. Versus there was a problem growing the food, and that direction doesn't work very well. Where's the beef? Well, I guess there's no beef. Remember that one from the 80s? European Union put a stop to importing beef from the U.S. That's not a tit for tat. That is not just, it's not safe for people to eat. Even you waited until April 3rd to do that. Okay. Yeah, right. Okay. You care about the people in the EU. I know you do. Forbes U.S. beef agricultural products banned. Key trading partners over meat concerns. Treated meat. What? Now you wait until today. Not 10 years ago. Just the day before yesterday or whatnot. EU bans U.S. beef over safety concerns. And they also banned chicken and lobsters in addition to beef. Because those lobsters. Safety concern. You can see where it's going. It's a great explanation, is it not? Now, EU won't have any beef. Things are going to get really expensive for like the poultry and the beef and the seafood. Okay. Or maybe somewhere else in North Africa or another, trading bloc will fill in that gap. Because the whole point is to rip apart globalization. Now, putting that firewall across the Atlantic Ocean for proteins, meaning that over there in the UK and whatnot, in Europe, they're going to have to find a different protein source. Now, where is that additional source? Ukraine's offline. It used to be a huge, not only bread basket, but dairy basket, meat basket. It had exported an enormous amount of food, an enormous amount. Just even their corn, 30 million tons went out. So you see how perfectly it fits into the Rubik's Cube. Now, it's not going to be traumatic at the minute, when this stopped. But suddenly, we should have a tidal wave of beef coming back in the U.S. here. Chicken should get really super cheap. Eggs, too. And then you're going to probably watch a tidal wave of seafood come in here. Until it isn't. Or maybe that stabilizes the industry then, and then everything is already finds new markets with new buyers internally. See, that was the whole thing. Got to find internal buyers. You got, okay, if you're going to bring factories back, you sure is better to get the fishermen to be able to sell into America the fish that used to go overseas, like reroute that. It comes back in America. All that fish, all the stuff, coastal, everything comes back into our country, not for export. Unless somewhere they're going to find the balance and equilibrium there. Now, same thing. Now, over in EU, they're going to start fishing around, no pun intended, but they're going to fish around in North Africa, Middle East, Eastern Africa, and see what they can find in terms of substitutions. And again, what did that do? It just stopped globalization. It came into continentalization, if there's such a word. But you're watching it happen in real time. Nothing you see out there as you see it, in my opinion, is organically happening. It is for a reason to push to the next excuse, the next unlock that's already been planned. Farmer strike hit in Britain, speaking of things. Panic buying of bread, flour hits British stores. Now, I talked to somebody over there in the UK, and they said this is a buried story that even people in the UK are only just finding out now because their bread stores are running out of bread. This started to happen more than a week ago. The farmers were like, we're not going to sell you any more wheat into the millers and the processors. So obviously flour ran out, breads ran out. The milling wheat strike starts tomorrow, and this was back on April 1st. So this gives us a full week that back on March 31st, this story was not widely talked about, but it is now. See, it took about 7 days. No hot cross buns for Easter. Yeah, you won't have any flours. So anybody who runs out to buy flour to do a special thing for Easter baking, they're going to notice right away it's gone. And a large number of growers leaving milling wheat in their stores. That means like storehouses, not actual cell stores, but storehouses, warehouses, as part of the UK granaries, as part of the UK wide strike against government policy. See, they're not going to load the milling wheat out, which means the farmers know what they're doing, and government's going to have to come out and do something heavy-handed to get them to put the wheat back in. Because here we're looking at North Dakota farmers exporting 60% of their soybeans to China. Now they're wondering if they can grow Diet Coke right there in that same parched land. So tariffs, what did it do? It kept that soybean in America. So watch there be a plethora of new soybean options coming in to soak up at least some of that supply there. And again, there'll be a rebalancing of crops too, because as I was saying with this whole time with the Adapt 2030 channel, is as these grow zones get pushed further south, they're going to have to come up with new crops like amaranth, sorghum, millet, these types of older spelt, these types of ancient grains. And they're going to have to substitute and grow them in different regions where previously we could grow crop A like corn or soybeans and it got too dry. Whatever it is, shifts. So we're going to crop substitute in those areas. But what a perfect example and a way to do it without anybody even considering it, of doing any investigation into why. So this 60% comes back to us. That's going to be way too much. And people are going to be like, you know what? 60% is way too much for soybean. Let's plant amaranth up there and see if it works. Because we can start a local specialty amaranth market just in America by amaranth grown in America. Right? And a lot of people like that for different kind of health reasons, for different kind of flours, things cooking, baking, that sort of thing. People make bread from it. What if we go to spelt? Sorghum. Well, that was grown, but they're coming, at least where they grew it in Texas, they're coming down to 100-year lows on that. So that needs to be moved to a different area as well. So look at all the crop substitutions that could take place with this. It's too much. Let's reutilize the land and stop growing so much soy and grow all these others that are hardier, more resistant to cold and unexpected changes in the regular plant harvest, grow, temperature, and precipitation cycle. That's all thrown out the window. Now we're going to need to substitute crops into different areas without drawing too much attention to it. It's going to have to be baked into the excuse of why, and gladly accepted as to why it's changing. Continentalization and crop substitution. That's why. Thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of the video. True Leaf Market. Heirloom organic seeds for any grow zone on the planet. That link's below in the description box. I'll leave the links for the books too, since I was showing you those. And please join the conversation, Civilization Cycle, over on TikTok. 1 to 2 minute nuggets of this type of information you can share with your friends and family and get them in the conversation as well. See you next time. Bye for now.